Ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for joining us today on SportsNetworker.com. Today I'm very honored to be joined by Mr. Jamey Rootes, President of the Houston Texans, former President of the Columbus Crew MLS team. Jamey, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Lucas. How are you?
I'm doing well. Again, thanks for your time here, and
Sure.
let's dive right into the first question. Starting at Clemson University, where you earned your undergraduate degree, and then moving right on to Indiana University, where you earned your MBA degree, what was the professional path you took to become the president of the Columbus Crew MLS team, and ultimately the role you're in now as the president of the Houston Texans?
Well, leaving Clemson, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my life. I was involved with sports as a player, played soccer at Clemson, was very actively involved in student life, but didn't really spend a lot of time from a career perspective. I worked for a few years with IBM and got an idea of what the working world was like, but felt like there was something missing. I sat down with the athletic director at Clemson, his name is Bobby Robinson, and Bobby said, as he asked me the question, do you want to work on the business side of sports or do you want to coach? And I didn't really know at the time that there was a difference, and so we got to figure that out. And so that led me to Indiana University, where I coached and I worked in the athletic department and got an opportunity to evaluate both of those paths and made a decision at the end with Jerry Yeagley, who was the men's soccer coach at Indiana. It was a great mentor to me that being in the business side was going to be what I wanted to do. Went to the World Cup and in '94 and spent some time working there with a guy by the name of Don Rawson, who's also another good friend and someone who guided my career. But couldn't find something in sports, so I wound up taking a job at Procter & Gamble until I did loads of informational interviews during this time about what the sports world is all about. One of the gentlemen I met, Tim Connolly, who was with the Kansas City Chiefs at the time, called and said, we're starting up a professional soccer league, and you're in Cincinnati. Would you like to come and talk with us? And so I met with him and Lamar Hunt and Clark Hunt and some others. And we hit it off, and they gave me an opportunity to be part of the startup of MLS as the president and general manager of the Columbus Crew. We built Crew Stadium in '99, and then a recruiter called me at the end of '99 and asked if I would be interested in meeting with the folks who were launching the Houston's new NFL team. Wound up being Bob McNair, and sat down with Bob, and we had a great connection, really felt like we saw the world similarly, and so I've been here for 13 years, and it's really been a great ride, a great career experience so far.
What are some of the similarities as well as differences that exist, in your opinion, between being the president of a soccer team and an American football team?
Well, I think they're more similar than they are different. Certainly the game is different. The psyche of the fan is somewhat different, a little more international and European from a soccer perspective. In football, it's truly an iconic American sport, but certainly the numbers are very different. The size of the opportunity that exists, but still the same pressure because smaller opportunity, overachieving is at one level, a larger opportunity. Still, the expectation is to be the very best at what you do, and that creates a lot of energy and tension and all the good things that help you to achieve success.
Within the Houston Texans organization, what are some of the team functions that you're directly responsible for?
Well, certainly I'm responsible for the activities that occur off the field. All right, all of that side of the house. Spend a good bit of time on revenue generation because that's incredibly important with tickets and suites and sponsorships. We've got a great team in place, and I would say more and more my time is spent attracting, retaining the finest people that we possibly can, culture, direction, strategy. Those, my job is really to look over the horizon and help to bring our group of people and our fan base and our community along for that ride.
What changes have you noticed within the organization from the years when the team was sort of well below 500 to now when the Texans are considered a legitimate Super Bowl contender?
Well, for our first 10 seasons, we sold out every game that we ever played. Even during those really challenging years, going 2-14, came off of that with another sold out performance. From a revenue perspective, across all the metrics, we're among the league's elite and have maintained that status for a decade. So it's been great. We've got a wonderful community here in Houston. We've got a great stadium. Reliant Stadium is one of the great stadiums on the planet. The tailgating experience we created, lots of folks tell us it's the best in the National Football League. The fan experience here. So all those fundamental blocking and tackling pieces of the sport experience we've done exceptionally well, and we've been rewarded from a financial perspective. We have a great owner, somebody who's truly committed to Houston, and that has certainly been a big advantage for us. And so it was great leading into last year, going to the playoffs, doing the amazing things that our team did, the expectations for this year. We're now great plus 50%, whatever that is. So it's really been a great ride, and our best years are certainly in front of us.
What would you say is the most powerful and influential decision you were involved in throughout your career in sports?
Well, you do something for 20 years, things, a lot of things happen, but I'd look back at the construction of Crew Stadium. Not that it is the greatest sports facility on the planet. I mean, from an investment perspective, it's relatively small. But the fact that we as an organization in Columbus and the community, we had to try 3 times before we got it done. And it required really some great assistance from the state of Ohio. I recall the day getting a call from the Ohio Exposition Center, folks saying, hey, would you like to come and look at our property? Maybe we could provide a place for you to have a stadium. And that stadium has really been a catalyst for the growth of soccer in America. And lots of stadiums have come since then, but there's only going to be one. And the opportunity to be part of that turning point with Lamar Hunt and with Clark Hunt and all the visionary things that they brought to the table, I really felt like we made a difference for the sport.
And Jamey, the last question we have for you today is, having been selected twice as Sports Business Journal's 40 Under 40, what advice would you give to those aspiring to break into the business of sports today?
Well, it's a challenging industry to break into, very different than a lot of other industries, and people get so focused on the team sport aspect. So if you want to live in Houston and you want to work in the NFL, there's really only one option. Right. So you have to really check your heart and make sure that this is truly what you want to do. One of the best ways to do that is get an internship. Spend some time within a sports team or with an agency or whatever that area of the sports world you want to work in. Get some experience and make sure that it's what you want to do. And if you answer that question correctly, this is what I love to do, then you got to figure out what makes you special. What are the talents that you bring to the table? Because it's so competitive. If you don't know what makes you special and you don't bring that to the table every day, you're probably not going to make the kind of progress that you want to. And then I guess the next piece would be figuring out who thinks you're special. Who are your raving fans? Because I think about my career and all the people that along the way that have helped me to get where I wanted to go. The mentors, I mentioned Jerry Yeagley, Lamar Hunt, and Bob McNair, and lots of others, my parents. Those people have been the things that have really been the wind beneath the wings that have helped me to get where I want to go. So figure out who those people are and use those connections to help you to get done what you want to do. And if you're passionate about it, if you truly want to do it, commit to it. Because if you're passionate, you're committed, and you love what you're doing, you will make whatever it is you want to make happen, and you'll have a lot of fun along the way.
Well, Jamey, thanks very much for joining us. And for SportsNetworker.com, I'm Lucas Biebelberg.